Scott, another Six Nations to look forward to. How's preparation gone so far?
It's been a good few months since we've played. Preparation's been really from WXV1, centralised programme into Celtic Challenge, into 4 half weeks. So I feel like we've had time together, and we've blended it with obviously some girls playing over in the UK and the Celtic Challenge touch points that we've had. So it feels like we've got to this point, and it feels like we're ready for a game.
You come into this one off a good WXV1. There probably is different expectations from the outside. What about inside? Have you addressed that? Every coach says one game at a time, but for you, have you talked about the end game, or is it all Saturday?
No, there's a bigger picture a bigger piece at play here. We do talk about now having an expectation. I got asked at the Six Nations launch about a slightly different eye looking in now. No more surprises. Now Ireland people turn up, people will take an Irish performance seriously. But we kind of said that's where we want to be. Playing the underdogs is a card that lasts so long. And then from our, not just how opposition view us, but our own expectation of our own performances. We need to be able to fire shots when we're expected to. We need to be able to dominate teams. If there's an opportunity and they give us a crack of light, need to put our foot down and go assert this is our performance on a game. So we do talk about it. We're getting better at it. Is it going to be the finished product yet? No, because remember, this is still a young team. People keep saying, what are the expectations from the Six Nations? Well, last year we won 2 games. We lost 3. We had 3 games that were probably close and were winnable at home. We won 2 of them. Now the expectation for us is not necessarily about seeking, we're going to go and win it or anything like that. It's about, if we keep improving and keep getting our performances out there, we want more. It's harder to win those 3 away from home. And we know at some point we're going to have a game that might look like a game we need to win in a World Cup, or a game that looks like a quarter-final in a World Cup. Then we need to be able to produce performance against Tier 1 opposition. So this Six Nations gives us a blend of that. So the expectation in camp is that we want to be better than we were in WXV1, and hopefully we get more of those moments against a good France team on the weekend.
It's funny you say they're better than you were in WXV1. You did better than France. So this weekend, without coming and saying we want to beat France, which obviously you do, but where do you set the bar there at the Kingspan Stadium? Is it to go out there and win your first match against them in 8 years?
Absolutely. People keep talking about the World Cup that's coming over the horizon, which is an incredibly exciting year within women's rugby. But the first job is the Six Nations. And look, the local rivalry that Six Nations brings is fantastic. Perhaps been a bit of a monopoly on results since the last time Ireland won it a good few years ago now. It'd been 10 years since we'd beaten New Zealand, and we managed to do that in the autumn. So what we want to do is get performances out there that start getting us into that reckoning of England, France within a Six Nations context. We want to come out of it knowing that we can beat a Tier 1 nation, whether that's by beating them, or whether that's putting a performance in that goes, we can beat them. We played France first last year, and our defensive performance was resilient. They cracked us a few times. We managed to get back, and our scramble D, and it's sort of the first iteration really of showing what it means, this current crop of what it means to fight for each other and put a performance out there that the Irish public are a little bit interested in that. So that doesn't stop. We've got to keep doing it as we keep talking about ripples become waves, and as we grow our wave, we're going to face a bit of pressure on this weekend. They're a good France team. They turn up for the first games in every iteration that I've seen them. They start fast. What we've got to do is take the wind out of the sails and get our performance out there, and then we start to create cracks, become fissures, and hopefully a little bit of that doubt that they perhaps have residual from WXV1 can perhaps resurface.
You've been training for the last while, and you picked your squad, 40 players, 8 uncapped, to the likes of Alma, Jane Neal, Beth Booner and Jane Clossy, Sophie Barrett. 20% I suppose are uncapped, but that just shows the depth that's growing all the time. But do you feel, and I suppose you'll only know in a couple of months' time, the blend is right for this time?
Absolutely, and some of those that you've just mentioned will be ready for playing impacts in this Six Nations. Some it's a longer view focus, with looking whether it be this next World Cup or the one after. There's players that we almost need an accelerated learning piece, by being around it, by absorbing information, absorbing winning performance habits, and we've got some girls that over the 18 months that I've been here have made significant changes to just how they go about getting better. So we believe we can accelerate learning by getting more touch points and having them blended in now. So some will be ready for now, some will make impact now, some will be a World Cup picture.
It's funny, just chatting before we come on the interview here. Let's take the back row. King, Hogan, Wafer, Boyles, Moore, McMahon. Don't know, might have missed one or two out there. How do you fit 6 into 3? You don't, but it's pretty remarkable, even in your time, how much the sort of environment and the competitiveness has just risen.
Absolutely. There is a couple more. We would view ourselves as a back 5 of a scrum. To this point, we haven't started discovering 6'6" second row, so we know we've got a dynamic back 5, which is going to end up becoming a part of our identity. So there's girls that can do shifts that are playing in the second row, could also perhaps feature as 6. So you're right, it's a really competitive possession. Every great team has had a great back row. Our back row is developing. People have said some nice things about a couple of the players within it, but we're developing now a system and approach that each understands their role, and with any great back row, they work in symbiosis. So the sum of parts makes a bigger total. So they've kind of got each individual roles, but how that blends, and they know each other's strengths, and it kind of delivers a performance that can be adaptable, can be. You might see them turn up on the edge, you might see them through the middle, you might see one making a great tackle, the other one making a great jackal. So the blend of it's going to be really important for us, and as we grow, we're able to call on a few different ingredients depending on the opposition.
Are we allowed to talk about the World Cup? You know, you want a team to peak in August, but you want them to peak on Saturday afternoon. Do you see it as, 5 knockout games to get to the first game of the World Cup? Or how does it work as a group?
No, not quite. What we have done is we've taken a view of what the World Cup looks like. So if you look at the group stages, so Japan, Spain and New Zealand. So you've got games in that we would be expecting based on world ranking order that we'd be expected to win. So us performing in games where we have expectation. There'll be performance in this games of this in the Six Nations where we go, actually based on last year we'd expect ourselves to win that. So we kind of got a similar picture going against New Zealand in a World Cup. Well, we've got 2 Tier 1 opportunities in France and England in the Six Nations. So we're able to tee up and prepare ourselves for a World Cup based on some experiences we're about to go through now. So it's quite exciting. So even though we understand the importance of the Six Nations, we're able to take a stepped approach to being able to get that winning quarter-final performance out there by the time we get to a World Cup. So it's really important. We love the Six Nations. Irish public want to see us perform in the Six Nations. We want to beat Scotland, Wales, Italy. We want to take some chunks out of France and England. We want to perhaps even get a winning, and we call it a winning quarter-final performance. We can take a step towards that within this. So it's full of opportunity for now. But if we look at 2025 as a year, we just want to keep stepping our performance in the right direction.
Must be great as a coach to have seen the Celtic Challenge and the 7s and 15s players for the last couple of months for you, and there's none of this, none of it flying away here and there, but you have the group exactly how you want it to affect.
Look, really important for Irish rugby. We've got certain depth in playing positions at this point, so it's going to take an Ireland women's rugby effort. Myself and Alan Temple-Jones work closely in cahoot, obviously with the World Cup piece, with the Olympic piece. There's a lot of the Sevens players that were solely focused on that. We've been able to get access to some of those players now coming back into the Celtic Challenge. And we know it's not an overnight piece. People don't just come back and click of the fingers and suddenly it's all right. There was girls that hadn't played 15s for 3 years, and taking them to WXV1 presented some challenges, both for us and them on pitch. So they bring with them some affordances from sevens that gives them some competitive advantage in the 15 space. But there's also a technical, tactical piece that we needed to blend. They needed to work out what a weak work looks like, what an opposition on the front foot, on the back foot, a narrow game, a wide game. Sometimes it rains, and we need to be able to get that and blend that. So Celtic Challenge has given us time to do that, and as a working programme with the 7s and 15s together, it's given us opportunity and time to do that, and hopefully we're starting to see some great performances come through. You know, you look at Stacey Flood at fullback, some of the performances in Celtic Challenge, but not just the games, probably more importantly was the training. Some of the games gave us challenges in facets, some of the others were less challenging, but we always took a viewpoint that Tuesday was going to be tough. So we made it hard in training on Tuesday. So by doing that, we were able to keep growing them as they went through, and then we've had a 10-week block of growing people, and then we've had another 4 weeks where we've been in together in this environment, the HP environment here at the HPC in Ireland, and now we're just desperate for a game. Yeah. We're ready to test it, and no better start point than France. I love playing the French. I love their identity. I love what they stand for. I love the physical challenge they're gonna present themselves, and for us, it's the next opportunity to test ourselves against.
You said to me when you beat Australia in Belfast that you were getting texts off your friends to say, "This attack, that's the best I've seen it in Irish colours, and these girls are flying." Is that the type of game plan? I know it kicked on into beating New Zealand, but is that what you want to see this Irish team do? I know you've talked about weather, but in general, do you want to see the ball go wide when you have that opportunity?
Look, we're gonna need an all-court game. We're gonna need the ability to have a strong set piece. We're gonna need the ability to be able to play through teams. We're gonna need to be able to express the edges. And the reality is, because we play different opposition. Again, if we're looking at the World Cup piece, your Japans, your Spains. Well, what does that game look like different to a New Zealand? Now, we actually the New Zealand game, we applied pressure with a kicking game. So what we are is developing a group that's got the ability to have plan A, plan B, depending on what's required, and then the street smarts really to get which tool out that you need at which point. So France come here. France will present a challenge. If we turn up and just think we're going to jouer the team, to coin a French phrase, from side to side, we'd be paying them a disservice. We're going to need to earn the right to do that. So we're going to need a strong set piece. We're going to need to be able to create some physical challenge. And when we get opportunities on the edge, we're going to need to be able to go after it. So we've been developing a group, not just in one plan, with the ability to flex and bend between what's needed and understand the tactical nous on pitch, what's required at that point. So we're getting there. It won't be perfect. I suspect we're going to need to be able to survive a couple and score a couple when we get opportunities, and that'll be the difference between us being in a game against the tier oneers, the World Cup contenders as we call them, being in a game and winning those games. So we need to learn to win those games. New Zealand was a nice opportunity, it was a good experience, but we need to back it up.
Last two. You talk about France there, haven't beat them since 2017. They have the likes of Fall, Berthomeu, Santos, Vernier. How much work have you done on them? Or is it mostly our plan?
Yeah, look, great question. You'll always have a bespoke set of specials for anybody that you play. Have we done our homework on them? Yeah. Do we know them? Yeah, we know them pretty well. If you spend all your time looking at France, we're not going to get our best game out there. We've been focusing on advancing our game from where it was. We keep going after layers, so we're going after more layers, more bespoke detail to whether you're playing Ireland or in Italy. So we've got some additional layers which we need to get out there, but our own identity, if we can take how we train and apply that in the game, we'll find ourselves more and more in these games, firing more shots. So France are a tough first up, but we believe we've got the enough firepower in the game within us, with the street smarts, to perhaps undo them in a couple of senses.
With a glint in the eye. Last one, which I'll probably ask you every week or every time I speak to you. The end of April, what's a good outcome for Ireland in the Six Nations, but also August, September, whenever World Cup final and whoever lifts it. What's a good outcome as well?
Look, we're always going to be talking, at the start of the year we spoke about 2025 being what a year for women's sport, women's rugby. So coming out of this, we've got to advance our game. Beating a tier 1 nation in the autumns in WXV1 is great. We need to back up another performance that says we're getting closer to closing the gap. So I'd like to break the monopoly of England-France. We'll certainly do our utmost to achieve that. By the time we get to the World Cup, we want to know, whatever happens in this Six Nations, that we can win a knockout quarter-final. So if we can get to a World Cup semi-final, we get to go all the way. We go to London. So that quarter-final piece, we've got to get there, and we've got to have the belief and systems in place, so the performance is in us, that know we can win that game, and we're going to use this Six Nations to hopefully advance our game closer to that.
Our roads lead to Belfast and London then. Thanks, Scott. All the best in the next couple.